A very straightforward episode of Gate this week. So before I get into details, dive into what this episode's setting up with the upcoming arc, I just want to say, there was only one scene that reminded me of Hulk 2003 with this week's episode. So I'm thankful it toned down a lot compared to how last week's episode was. Because that right there last week, I'm like, stop it. Stop it. And so we only saw one scene this week, and I hope that the director and the animators and stuff tone it down even more, and we don't see that anymore throughout the series, because just not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of those type of camera angles and scenes. I'm really not. But let's move past that. Let's talk about this, episode of Gate. So, we're getting into a new arc. This upcoming arc we're getting into, our characters are going to be venturing towards Japan. They're going to be going to Japan, and we're going to get to see how some of these characters that were introduced on this world, this fantasy world, is going to interact in Japan. And we do know the way it's going, they're going to have to be very careful, because if normal society finds out about these people coming to Japan, or if America finds out, or China, any big country finds out about these people and they come over into our world, it's going to cause a lot of issues, and depending on how it goes, it can cause a diplomatic situation where shit can go down. And so I do hope that we get to see some form of drama wrapped around this, because it would make a very interesting arc if they do go that path. Because, I mean, when you think about it, you have, like, Rory, she is like a goddess. She's like a fucking goddess almost, the way she acts. And, she's a priestess that walks around, and she's like the goddess of war. And if she goes to this country, Japan, and she stirs up a little bit of trouble, think about what might happen. I mean, you gotta remember that. And then also, how is society gonna act when they see someone with, like, elf ears? I mean, humanity is a despicable race in some points in time. Well, let's be honest here. And if they see something like an elf, there's definitely gonna be some form of prejudice. And I wonder if Gate is going to try to tackle that type of issue in the upcoming episodes. Because, I mean, normal people, if they look at an elf, I mean, they're probably going to show some form of prejudice towards her. Or, I guess a wizard or a magic user, they're going to look at that person as some form of despicable monster. And I wonder if Gate is willing to go into that type of issue, or is it going to play it safe, and is it going to just stick to the, everybody accepting them for who they are? We'll see, but I'm interested to see what direction Gate will go, because I have been told Gate is a dark series. Like, not completely dark, but, I mean, I've been told that Gate is a dark series because it has a lot of violence, a lot of blood, but that doesn't mean it's dark just because of that. I've been told it has a very good story, and it's very dark in some ways, and I do hope that it does showcase this with this upcoming arc. So, enough of that. The episode mainly is where our princess is tiptoeing around Itami and not wanting to upset him. That's what this episode is really about. Because, as I already briefly stated in last week's episode and at the beginning of this video, I said, depending on the way the situation goes, there's going to be a diplomatic situation. And of course, the princess realizes this. If one of her men harm Itami, which they did, that will cause major issues. That's enough to start a war. I mean, there has been wars caused for littler issues. For instance, someone stealing a coin or something, and war starts. There's been wars on stupid things. And for one of the top men on the Japan Defense Force getting injured, yeah, you kind of realize what might happen there. So, thinking about it like that, you can understand the princess's situation and why she was acting like she was doing, because if Japan gets pissed off, like if they really get pissed off, let's be honest here, nobody is surviving in the fantasy world. Nobody. I mean, they might put up a fight. The only way they might stand a chance is if they all band together and work together. Everybody, all those different nations and countries band together, work together, instead of playing mind games and puppeteering to trying to overcome their other enemy nations. If they work together, maybe they can drive Japan back with using magic and magical creatures, but we know how that worked out in earlier on part of the series, so that's kind of thrown out the window. So yeah, I mean, they really can't stand up to Japan if they really wanted to, and that's not even counting other different countries if other countries intervened into this battle, like, China, USA, Germany, any country. Just any country coming in with their own force is just as bad. If they all backed up Japan, yeah. So, what I will say right now is Gate this week It's realistic to some extent. In some ways, it's not, but it's still a good episode, and I enjoyed it. There was some animation derps, which I did notice, and I won't deny I saw those animation derps, especially with some of the character models. Some of the character models looked a little bit off, when usually there wasn't really anything important going on, like they were just talking. I did notice some of the character models looked off, but it's nothing too bad. BDs can work on that, because it was nothing too apparent that just shone, and I was like, holy fucking shit, I can't ignore this. But you know, there was some animation derps I noticed in this episode, but like I said, this episode was rather calm. It wasn't that bad of an episode. Like, it was just a calm episode that was just talking and setup. So, tell me your thoughts in the comments below. I mean, how do you all feel about this week's episode of Gate? Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? And if you did not watch my Food Wars review, I want to say it right now. Yes, I'm going to be reviewing Classroom Crisis. That review will be out later today. I want to be watching the 2 latest episodes, and then I will put a review out. Now that I've said that, you all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.